every single episode is going to be live.
Every town has a ghost story that's been passed down throughout the generations. But what if those legends are true? My job is to travel to these destinations, explore them, and figure out the mystery that lies within.
Hey everyone, happy Thursday night. We are live with the first Behind the Screams of Season 8. And I want to thank you all so much for tuning in this past Tuesday night for episode 1 of Season 8. And then now for our Behind the Screams, where we kind of break down and talk a little bit about that episode, as well as what's coming up in the upcoming spooky season. So first off, I also want to take a few minutes to welcome you to October. I mean, who doesn't love spooky season in October? I know that's one of our favorite times here, and I know a lot of y'all, it's your favorite time as well. So I just want to say hello to everyone over here in the chat room. Thank you again for joining us tonight. We got Nancy Weems over here. Hello. Always good to see you, my friend. Miss Sonia Thompson from The Walking Dead there. Hello, my friend. James Brady. Hello. A lot of you were here on Tuesday night, and so we're really glad you're tuning in again tonight. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you liked the intro. I wanted to do something a little bit different from just the traditional standard countdown that StreamYard has, the generic countdown that they play. So I built an intro using our Ghost Biker theme song and using the extended version of that. Hello to Jackie Hanley. Always good to see you. And then, of course, we've got the dream interpreter herself, Miss Dee Dee. Always glad to see you here on the show. And we have Angie and Shane McLean. Hello. Yes, Season 8. Thank you so much for allowing us to share that out on your platform. I definitely appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone who has shared the show out so far. Hello to Daryl Paulette. They're from Bedford Paranormal, Clover Hill Village, and the Appomattox jail there up in Appomattox, Virginia. And let's see. And hello to everyone else out there who hasn't commented there in the chat room. So we kicked off Season 8 this past Tuesday, and we kicked it off with a bang. It was such a great episode. I've not had time to go through everything so far as any of the static footage. I mean, we've been busy at the jail, so it's probably going to be a minute before I'm able to go through some of this static footage. But we did put cameras in different areas where we weren't able to investigate. I mean, we covered Harriman Hospital, and Harriman Hospital, if you've not had the opportunity to go there yet, it is very, very big. I mean, it's huge. It's the size of a full city block, and that takes a lot to cover, especially if you're doing solo investigating. Even whenever you have help, which I was very blessed to have my friend Dr. Christy Sumner helping me out with the investigation and helping me set things out, pre-set up, and helping me during the investigation itself, even with 2 people. That is a lot of ground to cover. This past episode, we were live for 3 hours. We went live early. We started at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And I got to say, I'm actually really kind of liking going live a little bit earlier. Let me know what you think over in the comments, because I'm actually thinking about maybe starting the episodes, since we're doing them live this season, starting the episodes at 8 p.m. instead of starting them at 9. That way, if we go 2 hours, we're still kind of wrapping up at a reasonable hour. Even if we go 3 hours, we're wrapping up. I kind of take for granted the fact that Tuesdays are my weekends. And so, but I know a lot of you also work during that time. So we want to maximize to where we can all investigate together. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. But I'm really thinking about starting these episodes at 8 p.m. for the remainder of the season. We had such a really good response with that. So let me know over in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And of course, if you're not able to make the live, you can always go back and watch the not the pre-recorded, but you can go back and watch the replay of the episode. I know it's not always as fun and exciting as it is whenever we're doing it in the moment, but for everyone that's gone back, watched, or that's gone back and kind of looked at some of it, I know 3 hours is sometimes a lot of time to devote if you're watching the replay, but just want to thank each and every one of you that have either watched us live or gone back and watched on the replays. Let's see over here in the comments. Let's see. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Thank you, Shane. I definitely appreciate that. Hello to Jamie. Always good to see you on here. And Dee Dee says, I would like to investigate that hospital. It had a lot going on. It really did. It really did. And we only just scratched the surface of it. We didn't even hit the 3rd and 4th floor because we just didn't have time to cover every single thing. And that 2nd floor was hopping so much with activity that we just stayed where the activity was. We did try to move around just a little bit, hit a couple areas that was supposed to have a fair amount of activity, but we just kept getting drawn back to that 2nd floor, which is pretty crazy because, again, that 2nd floor, it's the hallway is the length of a full city block. I mean, the cameras won't even pick up from one end of the hallway to the other because it's so far. But it really is amazing and really deceptive just how large this building is. If you get the opportunity, I suggest anybody definitely go and check out old historic Harriman Hospital. We're going to talk a little bit about the history on that here in a few minutes. Hello to Sylvain. Thank you so much for tuning in. Daryl says that 8 sounds good to him. Hello, Bob. Always good to see you on here. Glad you're doing well, my friend. James says 8. Dee Dee says 8. Works for her. Great. I think that's what we'll do. We'll just plan to start the investigations at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll make a post on that. I'm going to try to go ahead and go post out all the previews, not previews, but all of the events for each of the shows so that those are already out there, and y'all can definitely put those on your calendar for a reminder. We'll still stick with 9 p.m. for the Behind the Screams. I am going to have to make a few modifications on the Behind the Screams in the upcoming weeks because being spooky season and at the jail, we've got a lot of investigations and a lot of tours and stuff planned. We actually just got a booking a few minutes ago for a sold out tour on a Thursday night. So probably what I'm going to do on the upcoming weeks, because I think in 2 weeks we've already got something planned on a Thursday night, and then the last week of the month we've got something already planned out. So I think what we'll do is just kind of stay tuned on that to see, because we may end up offering those on a different night of the week, maybe on a Wednesday night or a Friday night, but I'll keep you guys posted. Or it might be a little bit later on a Thursday night. So we want to make sure that we continue with the Thursday night shows because those are always a lot of fun. I do also want to go ahead and apologize. This audio is killing me doing these lives because it seems like the mic on my phone is kind of focused to the voices coming from the front side of the phone and not so much from the back. When I was going back and reviewing the episode, I know you guys weren't able to hear all of the real fine sounds that we were hearing in the moment. And I don't think a lav mic is going to work very well with that because that's still going to focus on my voice, but it seems like it almost cancels out all of the sound around. So I'm trying to do some research to see if there's some type of setting on my phone, maybe changing it to the Omni setting, which I think it was already on, but I need to double check and make sure that StreamYard will allow me to change that. And sometimes if the service is kind of bad in the area, it will sound a little muffled. You could hear me fairly well most of the time. But if Chris said something and she was not behind the mic of the phone, it didn't really pick her up. And then I noticed it was even canceling out, for the most part, my footsteps when I was walking. So you could only hear when I spoke, but it was like really, really quiet elsewhere. So, so I apologize for that. I know that's kind of a pain, but again, that's sort of one of the beautiful sides of doing these live investigations is you get the good with the bad. You get to see the real, the raw, and the unedited. So for those that stuck around, I do want to make sure to mention that. So we are putting regular recorders out as well, just so that I have a mobile recorder on me that will be recording whenever we're doing these. So we'll be able to go back and pull that audio. I'm also putting out stationary cameras as well as recorders with those stationary cameras. So we're trying to cover all of that just to ensure. So, you get one of these days we'll get it 100% worked out, but it's a trade-off really. You either, with the edited episodes, you get a much richer, crisper sound. You get the evidence, I guess, in the playback mode after we've gone through and reviewed everything, and you get to see it. But there's something really fun and special about the live and the raw because it's real. And, you don't always get to see certain things that happen until you go back and review the evidence. So it's definitely been something that's out of my comfort zone because I'm a perfectionist. And so I like for everything to be just perfect and set up. But as we all know, we're all, for the most part, most of us are investigators here. And nothing is ever perfect on an investigation. I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Let's see here. Dee Dee says, I like the raw in the moment. Yeah, I'm with you there. And like I said, it is a growing experience for me. Nancy said, I didn't know if it was mine or yours. No, that was 100% on my end. So where this hospital is so massive, on the lower floors, it was a little bit harder for things the service was not as great. So I know that when the service is not as good, obviously that messes with the clarity of what you see. We did have one area where we had to step away from because we were going to investigate down in the kitchen and the serving area. Apparently it's a very active area. We were going to investigate there first. Didn't have good service. It kept cutting out. So we moved out of there real quick and moved to another area. The higher I got up in the building, the better the service was. But when the service was kind of iffy, it did affect the audio as well as the video clarity. So let's see. James says, what you're doing is so hard without a crew to help you do good with your solos. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was actually going to be doing Harriman Hospital completely solo. And then at the end, Chris stepped in and offered to help. And so I'm so appreciative of that because I do like to kind of try to pre-set up as much as possible. But whenever we investigate together and do these lives, you don't get to, if I pre-set up, obviously it makes it harder for you guys to say, hey, I feel you should maybe try to attack this area first. So with a location that big, I don't know the square footage of Harriman. I'm trying to remember if Rhonda told me the size of it, but it's actually larger than Waverly. And any of you that have been to Waverly, you know how massive that the Waverly is. Harriman is larger than that. And so this was my first time being in the location as an investigator. I had been in there, I feel like it was in the 90s when I was in there. It was an operating hospital at the time. I was not all through it, just in one little section. But you just don't get the grasp of how massive this place is until you're in there. When you're looking at it, it's deceptively large because when you look at it from the front, there are other buildings, because historic Harriman is absolutely beautiful. I mean, it's an area that has really come back. It's been revitalized. Highway 27 runs right down the middle of it. I remember when I lived in Cleveland and I would come up here to visit my folks, I had to pass through Harriman. And for the longest time, there was nothing in Harriman except for just a few little businesses. But they kept the quaint, beautiful looking old town. Even the Princess Theater is still there. And of course, now is in operation, but they've had a mass revitalization with the revitalizations of main streets all around the country. And so they've had a lot of upkeep done. They've also had a lot of businesses move into the area. And so it's nice to see that area essentially blossoming. And so when you look at the front, and I'm going to show some pictures here in just a little bit, but when you look at the front of Harriman Hospital, it looks rather small, but it kind of L shapes around, and there are businesses that are in front of it. And so you don't really see just how massive it is until you go into the back of the building and or onto the street behind the back of the building and actually see that it's a full city block. So it is rather large, and it is very hard moderating the comments, making sure that I don't miss anybody, doing the experiments and being in the moment. So in the future, I may look at having somebody moderate from another location so that they can pull the comments up on the screen, and I can see that. That's going to make that a lot easier to take that kind of off me, and then also try to do, I can focus more on the investigating side of things. All right, so I do appreciate your kind comments there, James. Hello, Kim Brady. Thank you for tuning in. Dee Dee says it's kind of is perfect though, makes the viewer feel like they're with you. Yeah, it actually makes me not feel alone when you're in those locations. I was just having a conversation with a friend earlier. We were kind of comparing and contrasting the difference of solo investigating. And I started out as a member of a team, had a great team that I learned from, loved doing collaborations with people, but I absolutely love the solo side of investigating too, but just because you really can control your environment a little bit better, and you can control sort of some of the stuff going on a little bit better than when you're with a really, really large team of people. Of course, I will say you could have quite a few people at Harriman and not hear or experience anyone. You could, even if you're on the second floor and you're on the city block hallway, as long as you're in control of your little area and everyone around you are considerate, you can actually have people investigating the same floor. Let's see. Dee Dee says, Christy's reactions are really fun. I'm still wondering about the man who said, "Who are you?" Yeah. So I did go back this afternoon and I did watch. And because I was standing down the hallway, probably about, I'd say 15 feet from where Christy was, you couldn't hear it on the audio of the camera. I'll have to go back and see if there's anything on recorders. I don't know that she had any type of recorder near her when she was in there. But I will tell you this, when we finished up at 11 o'clock, we had to gather everything up. So we had to make multiple trips onto the different floors. And so we grabbed everything from the second floor, brought it down, packed up. Well, I wanted to do another sweep just to make sure that I didn't forget anything, because again, in a building so massive, it's so easy to sit things down. We went back up on the second floor and we were walking down the hall, and from one of the rooms, this man just yells out in pain. It just sounded like this, I can't do it on the camera, but it came from the room on Christy's side, and she literally, as we're walking, like grabs my arm and jumps, because I mean, it just sounded like it was right by our head. And of Of course, neither of us have a recorder on a lot of the time. I think that's why these things happen is when you don't have your recorders and stuff with you. But we were hearing stuff up until, we were packing up. And so Christy's reactions really are a lot of fun because she does get a little bit spooked when we're in some of these places. But I can totally understand it, especially when you least expect it. But what Dee Dee is referring to, if you didn't watch the episode, while we were in the, I'm going to call it the Dr. Feelgood operating room because it had that badass green tile on it, like the Dr. Feelgood album. But while we were in there, we were sitting there. This was the first time we were in there. As we were stepping out and I was going into the hall, getting everything set to go to a different area, Chris is packing up, and this male voice, I could hear a male talking. I could not understand what he said, but Chris said as clear as can be, it said, "Who are you?" So pretty cool. But as of right now, we did not capture that on audio, but we'll see if anything else was able to pick that up. Let's see here. Bob says, "I'm sorry I missed your first episode. I've been giving Facebook a break. I'll watch after your show tonight." Hey, Bob, we absolutely missed you. I'd said to Christy afterwards, I said, Bob wasn't here tonight. I hope everything is okay with him. And totally understand about giving Facebook a break. The world is insane right now. So if I wasn't on it for work and for Ghost Biker, I would not be on Facebook at all myself. So, but you all can check it out on YouTube. A lot less drama, a lot less everything else on there. But you'll definitely have to check it out, Bob. Let me know your thoughts, and hopefully we'll see you for the upcoming episodes. Sonia says, "I love your mug." I do want to mention my mug right here. This is actually courtesy of my dear friend, Miss Sonia. When she was over in the Netherlands, she picked this really cool mug up for me. And it's a mug that reminds me to be thankful. It's Sonia, please remind me, is it thank you in, I guess, Dutch, maybe? Do they speak Dutch there in the Netherlands? Or maybe it's in multiple languages. But anyways, it says thank you all over it, and it reminds me when I drink my tea in the mornings to, okay, yes, she says in Dutch. And so it reminds me to count my blessings and be thankful for everything. So Sonia, thank you. Let's see here. Dee Dee says, "Yes, got to give Facebook a break. It's a shit show right now." It really is. I don't know if I don't know what y'all's Facebook looks like, but hopefully it will be filled with all spooky season, wonderful advertisements for ghost walks and haunted locations in your area, and on my side, cats and all kinds of. Hopefully yours will be full of all things October, all things fall, and cats, and hopefully that'll be what will pop up on your reel. Let's see here. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about Harriman, and I want to talk a little bit more about the season. So normally I release my trailer a lot earlier than what I did. I didn't end up releasing it except for a day before the episode was supposed to release. So I'm just going to go ahead, re-release the trailer here. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming season and some of the fun places we're going, and the theme, of course. If you watch the show, we talked about the theme on the episode 1, but I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and we'll watch this and then continue on. All right. So obviously there were some hints about some of the places we were going to be investigating here coming up in season 8. And so we've done a couple things. We did start on October Eve. We started here in back in September, just because we release an episode every Tuesday night, and this is a rare October month where there are only 4 Tuesdays during the month of October. But I had more places that I wanted to investigate than just 4 places. So that's why we started a little bit early, because normally we wouldn't be starting till next Tuesday. So there's that. We did push the time back to 8 p.m. for this one, so we could do a slightly longer live just because it was a larger location. And so I think we're going to carry that on and maybe do the same thing, maybe do 3 hours. It will at least do 2 hours at each place. And so, and of course, with the 8, you flip the 8 sideways, it looks like an infinity symbol. So we were going with the Ghost Biker Infinity theme for season 8. And as you could see from some of the different places that we kind of showed on there, obviously we didn't show the exact places that we were going to be investigating, but really tried to kind of tell the story that we're going to be going through the life cycle. And so that's why the cycle continues is kind of our tagline for this season. And so what better place than a hospital for to kick things off, because that kind of encompasses the entire life cycle. You have births, you have deaths, you have everything in between as far as tragic moments that can give you extreme emotion. You also have happy moments that go along with those births, or recovery, which can give you that intense emotion. And then also when it comes to work, you do have people who work is a big part of the life cycle. I don't know about you, but work, whether it be what I'm currently doing or when I used to work back in corporate, that always evoked extreme emotions for me, as well as home life. And so, so the hospital, that does encompass people who work there, whether it be doctors, nurses, administrative, chaplain. That was one that was mentioned a few minutes ago in the comments. So that's why I kind of thought that would be a really cool one to kick off. Also, connection. Connection is something that I'm finding when it comes to some of the locations that I investigate. I like to do some different experiments to see if, like what our connection to the location plays into the type of evidence that we get. Is it a personal connection between ourselves and the spirit? Is it a connection with the spirit to a specific trigger item, whether it be a personal item of them, or connection to the location itself? There's a lot of different experiments we can try when it comes to the locations this season. So so that kind of gives you some hints of some of the different places that we're going to be investigating this season. Not everything is covered in the trailer, and not everything that is showing in the trailer will necessarily be an investigation, but just kind of keep in mind that we're following the life cycle. So this one, we've essentially, like I said, it kind of covers all of it in the hospital, but at least if you think about birth, and that's one of the reasons why we're starting there. So the next location, I will say, will also be a rather large location. We've kind of got a really interesting mix this season between very large locations like Harriman Hospital and smaller locations like several of the places that I'm going to be covering. Harriman Hospital is the only one that I'm actually able to give away the exact location that I'm going to be at. all of these other places that I'm investigating, one, have never been investigated before. So we may or may not get activity in these places that I have coming up, but it's going to be fun to see. And it's going to be fun to see if we can pull and draw something out. So a few of them that have never been investigated before, we may use some pretty simple techniques, because as you know, sometimes they're on and sometimes they're newer, and it takes a little bit to draw the activity out. So they've never been investigated before, and two, a couple of them in specific, I was invited to come in, and I was invited to come in with the stipulation that I was not able to give away exactly where I'm at. So, so unlike the last couple seasons, we've used the season to actually promote these places to try to get people in to investigate. We're doing something a little bit different this year, and it's going to be more experiment based rather than trying to draw tourists into the specific locations. So I want to step back over here to the comments section because we got a lot of comments coming in. Let's see. D. Hoot says, looking back, did you find any connections between the investigation and the Ovilus words? I'm wondering if David was a chaplain. We're still trying to, for sure, find that out. David was the only name that we actually got on the Ovilus. Surprisingly, while we were there at Harriman Hospital, we did not have we did not have any tripwire activity, which is unusual. And again, validating for when you do have activity on the tripwire. And we really didn't have a lot of words come through on the Ovilus, which can be rather unusual as well. David did come through, and it did come through when we were actually talking about the pastor. It did say pastor on there, which, here in the South is a more common word. The pastor and preacher is much more common in this area than if the word priest came up, or chaplain, although chaplain, pastor, preacher could be interchangeable for sure. Even priest, because we know the Ovilus has limited words inside the word bank. So it could definitely be, they could be interchangeable. But yes, it did say pastor, which would be more relevant here to this area. And that could be many things. That could have to do with the chapel that's there. It could also, I know when my mom had her surgery earlier this year, my pastor, I was waiting in the waiting room for her, and I was over there by myself. My pastor from our church did come in and sit with me while we were waiting on mom to have her surgery. So I'm sure there were a lot of pastors that visited at that point in time, not just a chaplain that could be associated there with the hospital. Sylvain says the trailer is very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that, Sylvain. One of my favorite things to put together are the trailers and intros. So I miss the produced episodes because I enjoy doing the production work on it, picking out the music and getting everything synced up. But the lives are special in their own way. Bob says, looks like the Foundry, forget the name, but saw ghost hunters there years ago. I think you may be thinking of Sloss Furnace on that one. Maybe, I may be wrong. That does look similar to Sloss Furnace, and that was a fun investigation. That was one of my first investigations down in Birmingham, Alabama, was doing Sloss Furnaces, and that was a cool place. Hard to investigate because there is a train yard, a very, very loud functioning train yard nearby, as well as a very heavy intersection. But interesting story and a really cool place to investigate. And that one in the picture there does look a lot like it. Let's see. Dee Dee does confirm that the pastor did come up. DeHoot says yes, and the cheating, and I believe list. Yes, cheating and list was something, and it was kind of funny that came up while we were there by the janitor's closet on that first floor. Let's see. Dee Dee says, I love new locations. I think activity can be everywhere. Absolutely. Absolutely. I like hitting new locations, and I like lesser known. Now, what I will say on one of the locations in particular, I have a very special connection to one of those locations, and we're going to kind of play off that to see if that does trigger any specific activity. I'm not going to say what my connection is to that location when we go there. If the spirits reveal it, in any way, whether it be on a spirit box or the obelisk or what have you, I will reveal at that point if the spirits reveal it. So hopefully we'll cross our fingers and hope that, maybe they'll say, what the connection is. But that's going to be coming up in 2 episodes is when we're going to do that one. Let's see here. Bob is agreeing with Dee Dee that activity is everywhere. And I will say, because a couple of these have not been investigated before, obviously, as you know, we may not necessarily get activity during those. That does not mean that those locations are not haunted. It does not mean that they're not active. It just means that maybe they don't want to talk to me that night. Let's see. She says, I have never been to the South. See, Dee Dee, we need to change that. Dee Dee is out there in California. You need to come on over here to the South. Me and Christy and some of our other local friends here. You come to the area. We'll investigate the jail. We'll investigate rugby. And that's the cool thing about Harriman Hospital. It's only 45 minutes from the jail. Brushy Mountain is another 40 minutes from the jail. I think Brushy is about maybe 25 minutes from Harriman. Lots of great locations. You can't throw a stone without hitting a location within a 45-minute radius from the jail here. So you need to make your way on over here to Tennessee and see I recommend coming in the fall when the colors look nice, or coming in the early spring. Of course, the area you're in out there in California, I know, is probably pretty year round, but you need to come here and experience our fall season and experience our spooky season here. That'd be great. Sonia says, I thought the phantom smell in the operation room was interesting after you saw a man in there. Yeah, so we'll kind of talk briefly about that. So while we were on the second floor, and actually, let me just pull this out of here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a few pictures. Bear with me just a moment, because I've got some of these pictures during the daytime. There we go. Okay. So what Sonia was talking about, so we were able to get there to the hospital about, I'm going to make this full screen because it's just a beautiful room. So we were able to get there about 2 hours before investigation. We got there about 6 o'clock, took a tour, then also did about an hour, 45-minute setup beforehand, setting the cameras and stuff up, getting everything ready. This room over here, this was on the second floor. This was one of the operating rooms. This is almost, I think they're going to have some of their museum pieces inside of this room, in those cabinets back there in the back that look like sliding doors. They've got those set up as museum cabinets. And so while we were inside this room, we first time, that was the room where Chris heard the voice. After we left, we had done I guess we had done about, I think this was an hour into the investigation. We did another hour. It was almost coming up on our third hour. We were sitting down at the end of the hall. Chris saw what looked like somebody walk across the hall. It blocked out the red light that you could see. Now, because it was a full city block down the hall, we could not see, the camera did not pick this up. I've got to see if our little small camera, static camera, picked it up, but my handheld camera did not pick it up. And so right after that, we decided to walk down. As we were walking down, you could see the reflection of my flashlight on the shiny tile in this room. At that point, I saw what looked like a man pass by that door, and saw that in real time as we were walking down. After we saw that, we went into this room, and it had the strongest smell of ether in here. It was like not a cleaning antiseptic or anything like that, but it just smelled like the stuff they used to put you to sleep. It was so strong, and then it just went away as we were leaving. We also talked to Rhonda when we went down to lock up, because we did have a team leader, the crew leader, who stays while investigations are going on. They stay on site but out of sight. And she did confirm that smells are sometimes smelled in that room. So thank you for pointing that out, Sonia. I'm just going to kind of cycle through some of these pictures as we go throughout. I did have some doubles on here. And again, some of these were during the day. I took some double and triple pictures so that I could go in, zoom in, and see if we caught anything. This is from the second floor of the hospital right here. And so this was the hallway that was the full city block. And so you can see, I'm going to zoom in right here. You can just see that the hospital continues to go on down. And then you can see that over here, kind of off to the right-hand side, that's where some of the stores that go in front of the hospital are at. At one point in time, this was actually a segregated hospital. And so some of the segregated parts of the hospital, this would have been the entrance for that. Let's see here. Whoops, I think I'm going the wrong way. And so some of the rooms on here were furnished, as far as with some items from the hospital. Some of them were from have been purchased from different areas, but some of these rooms were furnished, and a lot of these rooms actually had pieces in them from when the hospital was in operation. And from what I understand, when they have the breaker flipped on things, that some of these items actually still work. So, like I said, I'm just going to kind of scroll through here. This was, we did investigate this area. This would have been down in X-ray. And unfortunately, we didn't get anything when we were down here. We set the tripwire up between the rooms. We set cat balls, flashlights. We did the APL, put several different tools in here. Just didn't really get a whole lot while we were in X-ray, which was interesting, because I, like some of you, thought that maybe that might heighten up the energy of the area. These two rooms right here, we did spend a little time in these two rooms. Harriman did not have a morgue in there, but they did have these two rooms right here was kind of a makeshift morgue where they would store the bodies until the hospital, or excuse me, until the funeral home was able to come and pick the bodies up. We did have a friend of the show here, Laura, who popped on, who has investigated Harriman Hospital many, many times. And she said that this area tends to be really active, especially when you tell jokes. And so I know some of you sent me some of your best dad jokes, put you on the spot. I know I couldn't think of anything. Chris couldn't think of anything, but we were asking questions and telling some jokes. And it still didn't seem to rouse up any activity here when we were in this area. So this would have been critical care in here. And that's just I just kind of thought that was a cool picture of the stairwell looking up, going up to the 4th floor. They have decorated a little bit for Halloween there. But this was one of the stairwells that went up to all the different floors. And then, of course, here talking about just the different areas. We did spend just a little bit of time in physical therapy. That was where we got the list where it said cheating and list. And I believe we also got rolled. There was a couple different rollators in there. I think a walker and a rollator. They're in physical therapy, and so we got something that said rolled, and we were trying to get them to roll the rollator across the room. Let's see, radiology, and of course, nuclear. Nuclear is interesting because we are so close to Oak Ridge, and that area, you had the Secret City, and where they did all of the nuclear work with the atomic bomb and all of that with Oak Ridge. So we're really, I think Harriman is only 15, 20 minutes there from Oak Ridge. I know we're about an hour from Oak Ridge here. So that was kind of an interesting part. And then, of course, you had the dining room, which was downstairs, ultrasound, lots of different areas there. I'm trying to think what this was. Okay, yeah, that was the waiting room for X-ray, CT scans, MRI, ultrasound, and nuclear medicine. Now, here was the serving area. This is actually a new area that was opened up for a new area that has been really opened up in the last, I want to say in the last year. I don't remember exactly when they opened it. I know when Chris went and did her live investigation, it wasn't open at the time. And so they get quite a bit of activity here in the serving area. We set up a stationary camera as well as a laser grid and several lights. Some people have actually seen the chef in here. Rhonda was saying that they've been able to actually see the white coat, the big white hat, and seen him passing through. I can't remember if she said he's seen more in the serving area or if he's seen more in the kitchen, but he was, I was hoping to actually be able to investigate down here because they've had a lot of activity in this area since they opened it. But because this is in the basement, it was much more challenging to do. So we didn't have service here. And then, of course, out in the courtyard, a picture of me and Chris. We this was just before the investigation was supposed to start, and so neat little area there. Let me see where I was on the pictures here. Okay, yeah. So let me go back through on these. This is showing the other side of the operating room there. Got those nice little cabinets. Just a really nice room. I think they said that the tile came from Germany in there. And that just kind of shows you just how long that hallway is. And this was from the middle of the hallway. This would have been the area. So I'm kind of zooming in as far as I can zoom. This area back here in the back, you can see the green. That's the operating room. This circle right here, that was a red. There was a red light and a fan right in here, and that's where Chris saw somebody block that out. You can see the happy face balloon that's sitting there. That's in the children's area. This would have been in the middle section. Just on past this would have been the stairwell where we got the man that likes to interrupt when you're doing your investigations. This was there in front of the mental health unit there at the Roane medical facility. What's interesting about this is, so this is in that same long hallway. If you go to, so where I'm standing, if you go to my right, that takes you down to the operating room. If you go to my left, then that area takes you back into the mental facility, which that was where we were actually getting a lot of the responses. So this right here was where we were sitting when the flashlights kept coming on. So right outside of this stairwell, where the area kind of turns a little bit blue, that is the area where the stairwell was, where the guy kept knocking and banging and turning the lights on. This nurse's station right here was where they kept turning the light on command. And if you go on back, that's where we would have been, right back at the wall there. And then just some of the rooms. Let me double check. We've got comments coming in, so I want to make sure. D Hoot says, I'm curious as well why the hospital closed. So they ended up getting a new hospital. This hospital was originally built in 1939. And so it's interesting because there were several different areas of the hospital. As you walked into it, you were walking into different areas that were built at different times. And so the very first hospital was built in 1939. It was a very small building. I think they said it had 14 windows in it. It was very small. They did a remodel in the early 1950s. And then, or maybe it was late. It was either 51 or 57. I apologize. I can't remember exactly. But there was a section that was built in the 50s. And then they remodeled it again, adding the newer section in 1991. And so, and it was in operation until the hospital closed in 2013. Let's see. She asks, was it due to cheating in lists? I don't know. I don't know exactly if it just closed because they had a new hospital built. I'm honestly not 100% sure, but I will look into that and let you guys know. And really, in the grand scheme of things, 2013 is really not a long time for a place to be closed. Let's see here. Yep, D Hoot, you and Dee Dee need to head on over here. I know you're in the South as well. Let's just make a big party of it. Come on out southeast over here and make that happen. And Dee Dee says she's originally from New York, so Nancy, I agree. I think, I love all the old hauntings that's up in New England, but I think we have some of the most interesting, from my perspective, my opinion. I think we have some of the most beautiful and the most interesting history here in the South, plus some of the nicest people you can meet over here. Let's see. And I do think you would love some of these places here in the South, Dee Dee, especially some of the old plantations and the Victorian houses and such that are here. I think it would be a good fit. Let's see. Okay. James says, I really believe you saw Dr. Feelgood in there. Yeah, I think so. That's all I kept thinking of when I saw in there was that with that beautiful green tile. And Dee Dee says the hospital was a perfect time capsule. It really was. It really was because, and if you imagine all the stuff that it holds in, I mean, Ronnie D has done a fabulous job with this location, and he also owns Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, which that's a crazy cool hospital too. That was the first hospital I ever investigated, and I guess that was back in 2012 or 13. I investigated Old South Pittsburgh. It was under different management then, and Ronnie went in completely, cleaned up the hospital, and he runs a great ship over there. So let's see. Talking about some really cool places to investigate here. Let's see. Dee Dee says, I really think this place was active. Hospitals really have so much going on. They really do. And, you can just really take your pick because when you think about it, all of the rooms, and we didn't even hit the third and fourth floor, which would have had ICU, cardiac, gosh, I don't even know. I think it was a lot of patient rooms. I don't even know what all was on the third and fourth floor, but we weren't even able to hit those. And I think you could probably spend a year in a location like this. Much like the jail, you have thousands, and probably a hospital, hundreds of thousands of people, whether they be people working there, people who are patients there, people who are guests there visiting. I mean, just going in and out all the time, such a range of emotions, such a range of activity. You could probably just spend so much time just in each of those rooms, and it would be really hard to pinpoint what you're experiencing. I mean, the emergency room, all the people that come and go from there, the waiting rooms, the pharmacy, and according to Rhonda, in the dining area, they would feed people in the community. Our local hospital that we have here in Oneida, they've got a restaurant set up in their Doc's Diner that you can go in and you can get food at the hospital. They did the same thing here in the serving area of Harriman Hospital. So, just all the people that comes and goes from there, you can only imagine just the activity. And again, the happiness, the sadness, the recovery, the loss, all of that from a hospital just is just, I don't know, it's just incredible, really. Let's see. D. Hoot says, it never crossed my mind until now that some hospitals were segregated, although I was born in 1961. Yeah. Some hospitals, I would say throughout the country, and depending on the time, definitely were segregated. It's, and that's a whole interesting, concept in and of itself, especially depending on where you're at. And she says, do you have a theory on the lack of tripwire activity? That's a really good question. I don't know. I need to think about that. I was honestly surprised at the lack of tripwire activity. I mean, we didn't even get a single blip on the tripwire. And I don't know, because so at one point when we were up on the second floor, I was hearing the sound of K2 meters going off. And Chris was giving me a hard time because she was saying, how do you hear a K2 going off? But you can hear the clicks, or I can hear the clicks of the lights when they're going off, but none of the K2s were going off. And we were a significant distance away from them with the phone. I don't know. I'm not really sure why we didn't have tripwire activity, because I would have thought in one section we would have gotten something. I'd be really interested to investigate the hospital starting at 6 in the evening. So the investigation started I had it from 6 until midnight was how long I had the hospital for. And so it would have been neat to have started at 6, because between 6 and 7, you would have had I was talking to my cousin who's a nurse, and you would have had the shift change at that point in time. So it'd be interesting to see if there would be more hustle and bustle and activity of the tripwire at that point in time, with maybe movement down the halls. I don't know. We didn't even get any cat ball activity there, which I would have thought we would have. We did get some flashlight activity, which I'll play one of those here in just a few minutes. But does anybody else have any theories as to why there may not have been? If you have a theory about why maybe we didn't have any tripwire activity, put it over there in the comments. I'd definitely like to hear your thoughts on it. That's a great question. Let's see. Bob says, I've been in the hospital quite a few times in the last couple of years, seen black shadows everywhere, and got some cool EVPs on my phone while laying in bed there. Yep. I've heard several people that have done sessions. I'm actually going to have, I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but it will happen definitely. If it doesn't happen in November or December, it will happen in January or February. I've got some nurses lined up, and we're going to do a show with just nurses. None of these are paranormal investigators. They're just different nurses in different parts of the hospital. We're trying to get this lined up. This may be a pre-recorded interview session. We might be able to do some of it live, but some of the stories that come from the hospital that some of these nurses have experienced, especially when it comes to the death angel and different things people have experienced in hospitals, are absolutely fascinating. So we're going to be doing a panel of nurses on the show here sometime here very, very soon. And we may even reference some of this at the hospital, or go back and investigate the hospital after we talk to those nurses. That would be a lot of fun. Dee Dee says, I thought it was interesting, such a big hospital and no morgue. Yeah, that is true. I was surprised that they didn't have a morgue as well. So this is what you could not really hear. You could not hear to the extent, if at all, what we were hearing. So many noises, so many voices. The voices were very, very clear on our end. The noises were wild, because it really seemed like whoever was up there in that area was trying to separate us. And they do this at the jail. They'll do kind of a cat and mouse, where you'll be investigating in one area, and then they'll start to interact in a different area. And so you'll go to that area, they start interacting, where you just were. So you might hear it on a different floor. We were hearing footsteps overhead. We were hearing knocking on the walls. At one point, we even heard something knocking in the elevator. They were always trying to knock or make noises behind us, is what it always seemed like. The only time that changed was when we sat down with our backs to the wall, looking down the long hallway. It quit knocking around us. So it couldn't get behind us, which was pretty wild. And Dee Dee saw a shadow figure, hoping to hear about that. Yep. We're going to pull up here in just a few minutes and see what you guys think. There were several places where people heard sounds and saw shadows. So I'm going to pull that up here in just a little bit. David says, amazing place. How long has it been shut down? It was shut down in 2013. Let's see. Bob says, was Stewart connected to that hospital? I'm not sure who you're referring to with Stewart, Bob. Let me know what you specifically who you're talking about. I'm not really sure. James says, were you able to see a woman at the end of the hallway that we saw around 10:30? I did not see a woman, but I'll pull that up here in just a few minutes and we'll see if we see it again. We'll see if I've gone to the right spot. But give me just a moment here. We've got a lot of comments. Let's see. Let's see here. Dee Dee says, I did makeup for a movie in a hospital in Los Angeles, and it had so much weird activity. The nurses all had stories. They were extras in the movie. Oh, that's cool. That is really cool. Yeah. One of my favorite things is to talk to nurses who work in ICU, nursing homes, different wards of the hospital there. I think nurses have some of the best stories. Let's see. James's theory on the tripwire says, I think there needs to be a high spirit energy level for the tripwire to work. Yeah, I think that's a good theory. The tripwire is different because, it's obviously it's an EMF detector and it's more insulated around the EMF detector there than what a typical K2 would be. It's kind of along the same lines as the EDI box. It's a little bit harder to set off. The K2s and stuff are pretty easily set off just because of, like, say, for instance, the phones and Wi-Fi, that sort of thing. Tripwire is not easily set off. So, there's always that. Sorry, kind of losing my voice there. Let's see. And gotcha, Stuart. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so let me just check right here. Whoops. Make sure I've gone through all the pictures. Because I just want to make sure to show it so you could see while the lights were on. Just sort of a few of the pictures here. I didn't get the opportunity to go and take all the pictures that I wanted to take. And of course, this was from this was when we were leaving, right about midnight. Just a few pictures of the windows. There's the front of the hospital that you see from the parking lot. And of course, there's my picture in front there. I believe. And then, of course, that's from the other side of the courtyard. So, of course, my picture and Chris's picture were standing there under the Harriman City Hospital sign. Let me just see if that is everything. Give me 1 second here. I believe, yeah, that was everything when it came to the pictures. And I do want to pull up, just to show you there, a good picture of the outside of the hospital, just so you can kind of see. I'm not sure. I think this one was taken from when Destination Fear was there. So it's not, it was a drone shot. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that just kind of shows you, like I said, how it doesn't look as large. The parking lot right there in the front, that's the building that you see from the road. But as you can see, the white building there on the right, that's in front. And you can kind of see, just going on back in behind there, you can see that the hospital runs that full city block. Back in behind the courtyard that we were standing in is right in behind the main building right there. So it's definitely an interesting place. I do want to pull up, we put all of the contact links and all of the information inside there so that you can go and you can book an investigation there. It's got the website, it's got all of their contact information. But if you go to oldhistoricharrimanhospital.com, you can find all of the information on the hospital, the overnight investigations, the daytime tours. They do public investigations. They do, obviously, private investigations. You can view their shop. You can find out what you can do if you want to get involved and volunteer there. I mean, it truly takes an army to keep a hospital going when it's running, but whenever one is closed, it takes a huge army there itself. Like I said, overnight investigations, you can do one of the half nights, what I did from the 6 to midnight, or you can do a full night that goes up until 4 a.m. And then they have day tours and investigations that are offered during the day. And you can also go in and I think you can go in and maybe take photos. It's really interesting. So, like I said, in the show notes, we do have all of that information on there. So check that out. Come to the area. You can travel 2 hours on down south to southeast Tennessee to Old South Pittsburgh, which is not far there from Chattanooga area. I think it's about an hour and a half from Chattanooga. You can go and you can investigate both of Ronnie's hospitals, Old Historic Harriman Hospital and Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. They're both very, very cool. I need to actually release some of the evidence that I got at Old South Pittsburgh. That place, we got the elevators dinging. It was just myself and this guy that I was dating at the time. We went and we investigated it, spent the night there. I had somebody calling codes out. We got someone calling out code blue while we were there. We got someone talking about x-rays because they had a bunch of x-rays in there and somebody had a lot of fluid on their lungs. So we got somebody like a doctor talking about that. I had a baby cooing. I had a man moaning in the operating room. This was way back when you were able to actually spend the night there. They locked you in and you were there from like 6 o'clock in the evening until I think it had to be like 12 or 1 the next day. So we were in there. It was absolutely insane and crazy. And we slept in one of the rooms and we put, and it was very, very cold. It was right after Halloween. And we put recorders in the rooms and something woke us up in the early morning and came and just slammed on our door. It was pretty wild. And then we heard a woman wailing and crying in the hall. It really would, it brings tears to your eyes when you hear it. I mean, it was so clear, and she's sobbing and she says, "Please let me see him." Very cool place. I need to release some of that evidence. I have it when I was part of a team. I have that out there, but I need to release it as some of my evidence that I caught there, because it's definitely a cool place. And a lot of people I know that's in the chat room here have investigated there as well. Okay, so I do want to pull a few things up here. Let me go back, get those numbers here. We won't spend too much time. It's almost 10:30 this time, but I do want to, I thought this was kind of neat. When we were on the second floor, just an intelligent flashlight session right quick. So let me pull that right there. Let me just pull it up here. You probably won't be able to hear too well because when I pull it up and play it here, it muffles it, but we'll see what it'll do. Hopefully it won't lag on us. Can you charge towards us?
What's the charge? You don't have to do that. I mean, you can walk at a steady pace. No charging is necessary.
Are you laughing at her? Nurses walk fast.
We don't charge.
Hey, if I'm having an issue, I want a nurse charging towards me.
The physical nurse, absolutely.
Okay, you've turned the light on there at the nurse's station. Can you turn the light on over by the stairs? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yes.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Now on the count of 3. Okay. Hey, look, the other one, there was a shadow that just blocked out where your light was at down there.
Man, hopefully we put it on camera.
I hope so. We'll move out from the front of this one. All right. There's
Did y'all see that flashlight turn on the count of 3? Did they see the light?
Yes. Let's see, I'm scrolling. Okay, so let me now go and, whoops. Let me go and find the time. We had another one where the flashlights were lighting up. I just thought that one was really cool. So we said that was at 10:30, correct? Let me find the time on that. It was when we went right back upstairs. So we were live till 11. Let me just see. Bear with me 1 second as I find that. Yeah, the flashlight activity was really neat, I think. I was really impressed with how that was one part that was responding on command and responding pretty intelligently.
The obelisk gave us some pretty interesting responses, like D. Hoot was talking about with the cheating and the list. Now, I will say I don't have my tools here with me tonight. We have a guided ghost hunt at the jail scheduled for tomorrow night. So I took my tools over to the jail today when I was unloading my Jeep from the other night. So I went ahead and took all of that over there. I wanted to talk about a new tool that we're using this season, the APL device, which is a data logger, which is like the EDI Plus. We're testing that out, but I already have that at the jail. I was going to actually plug that in and show you where we got some really cool data points while we were doing the investigation, and some of the interesting things that this does pick up on. And then let's see, the obelisk, I wanted to pull the list of words that we got from the word bank, but I did write a few of those down. We were down in Joanna's area, didn't really get a whole lot in Joanna's area, but we got, it said baby and well, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if it was somebody who had a baby or if they had taken the baby for a wellness exam, or maybe the hospital made their baby well. I don't know, but it was kind of interesting. But we got baby and well. We did get the name David. We got in the same area, we got temperature and rising. That was one after the other. So I thought maybe it was somebody that had a fever. And then just as, thank you, Dee Dee. Just as everyone saw this shadow of a woman just before, so we were getting knocks and bangs happening around us. We got the word beckon, almost like it was beckoning us to come to a certain area. And as soon as it said it, it said arm, beckon and arm. And then people, when we went around this corner, people saw what they thought was a shadow. So thank you, Dee Dee. That was, I had not gotten through all of the entire 3 hours rewatching. 2:33:51, I believe. So that was where I was. I was at 2:25:19. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and start it at that point. At the, let me go. I'm going to start it at 2:29, and we will go from there. So that'll give us about 5 minutes. So let me get that pulled up. And we'll start it from there.
I don't know why this flashlight that I have makes those flashing shadows like that. Do you need some help? While you're doing that, I'm going to ask a couple questions down here. While you're doing that, we'll see if we can get them to turn it back on. All right. So we're back in here. If you can see and hear us, turn that flashlight on.
Whoa. Okay, I didn't notice this before, but it looks like either the cat ball or the tripwire lit up. Let me just jump back a second. We may have actually gotten a hit that I wasn't aware of. Let me just jump back right there. Look at the start right there.
Questions down here. While you're doing that, we'll see if we can get them to turn it back on. All right. So we're back in here. If you can see and hear us, turn that flashlight on there at the nurse's station. Is there a nurse here with us?
It's weird. The tripwire. Okay. Well, there's Chris coming back. Okay, she was off to the side. Let me just jump back just a second.
That's nice. Yeah. Questions down here. While you're doing that, we'll see if we can get them to turn it back on. All right. So we're back in here. If you can see and hear us, turn that flashlight on there at the nurse's station. Is there a nurse here with us? That's nice.
Okay, that must have been where Chris was setting that up.
Let's see if we
So
get anybody
never
to
mind.
show.
That was her setting that up.
Yeah. So that's going to be what, a 52 foot, or no, a 60, 62, 72. God, I couldn't remember what it was. They were 36. So that's 72 feet of tripwire going down there.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, we got some fun lights in the hallway. Can somebody just step out of their room and just step into the middle of the hallway, please? They light up like Christmas lights.
Well, that's a good point. Dee Dee asked if the happy face balloon inside the room, it was in the hall. We'll have to go look. Because it was in the hall.
I don't think either of us. I can't remember moving it.
No, we didn't move it.
Do you want your balloon back in the hallway?
We got the number 5.
Does the balloon make you happy? Can you move it into the hallway, please?
If you'll hold this, I'm going to put some random cat balls.
Yeah. This is a really long hallway. Yeah, I'm just talking to the camera.
This area here was the mental health. Right here. Was the mental health ward. All right. I'm going to kind of turn this light down just a little bit so we can see the long line here. All right. Whoa.
Oh,
Now it's going on behind us again.
crud. That was the elevator. That was the elevator door. That was absolutely the elevator door.
There it was again.
Let's just follow it.
Okay, that looked like somebody
Is this
was
where you wanted
standing
us to
down
come?
there. Let me, is that what you all were saying? Seeing? Let me just go back to it.
You've been knocking from this corner all night. Do you want us back here for a reason?
Okay. I'm just gonna
Beckon arms. Beckon and arms.
All right, well then wave to us, will you?
Oh,
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, let me just jump back
Who wants to
because
back in that
Chris is
corner for some
beside me,
reason?
and I was
Uh-huh.
looking and I thought that was Chris, but no, she's walking beside me right there. So let's just go back to right here.
there it was again.
Right there.
Let's just follow it. Is this where you wanted us to come? You've been knocking from this corner all night. Do you want us back here for a reason?
Beckon and arms. Beckon and arms.
All right, well then wave to us, will you?
Oh,
Yeah, we hear you. He wants us back in that corner for some reason.
uh-huh. Will you show yourself?
Okay, I'm just gonna jump back. So James says, so Dee Dee says it's interesting that the noise came from that area and the shadow didn't move when we did. And then James says it's right as you swing the camera to the left at the corner. And Dee Dee says the shadow covered the window too. So none of us were right there in front. We were all behind the light. So I'm just going to go back to that right quick.
It's the mental health. Right here. It's the mental health board. All right. I'm going to kind of turn this light down just a little bit so we can see the long line here. All right. Whoa.
Oh,
Now it's going on behind us again.
crud. That was the elevator. That was the elevator door. That was absolutely the elevator door.
There it was again.
Let's just follow it. Is this where you wanted us to come? You've been knocking from this corner all night. Do you want us back here for a reason?
Beckon and arms. Beckon and arms.
All right, well then wave to us, will you?
Oh,
Yeah, we hear you. He wants us back in that corner for some reason.
uh-huh. Will you show yourself?
All right, we're back here. What do you want us to see?
What's in there? Yeah, every time it's going behind our back.
You got us back in the room. What do you want to tell us?
Okay, so we got some comments here. Okay. Wow. Okay. So James says there was someone at the end of the hall. And then Dee Dee says someone in a gown in the hall.
They weren't seeing your dress, were they?
No, when shining in the hallway. I think it's a kid playing with you.
Are you playing with us?
Long-haired woman, I think. Holy crap, guys. Was it in this little hall right here?
Where it said Beckon? Is that where you want us?
Yes, yes, I saw it too. Dee Dee saw it. Okay, James said right after you said arms. So it would have been this hall right here.
Yeah.
Holy crap, guys, we'll have to go back and look. Let's mark that. Let's mark that at, it's 10:38 right now, so that would have probably been around 35. Yeah. We'll go back.
Were you the program manager?
She said it was really freaky. Oh, man.
So it's interesting. So you can see there at the end of the hall that there's nothing there. Okay, so kind of looking at the comments here. So Bob says, look the right size for a person. James says that's where it was. Dee Dee says, I don't know why I saw a woman in a gown with long hair during the live, but it definitely a shadow. Hey, you never know. You never know why some things show the way it does. And then David says, right after the elevator as you move right. Yeah, everybody's seeing it. They're in the same spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and cut that footage and do it in slow motion. See if we can see anything when it's in slow motion. But I see what you guys are saying. I honestly don't know what that was. And James says he saw the same thing that Dee Dee did. Yeah, it really odd. So, I mean, that's the thing about the lives is that I'm going to try when I'm doing these in the future and turning and everything. I'm going to try to not make quick, like if I turn and shine it towards something, not make a quick move so that maybe, we won't get any kind of artifacts or anything like that. If anything, just try to rule everything out. I'm going to try to make smoother turns and not be as quick with it, just in case. And hopefully, I'm not sure about next week. I know because I have not been in next week's location yet. I'm going to get there early, so because I don't know exactly because it's not been investigated before. I don't know a whole lot about it. So I'm going to try to get there early, do some pre-setup, do some checking on some things, and try to. I know it is a big location. It is going to be another big location, so we'll see what we can do on that one beforehand. So hopefully we can kind of account for some of this. I don't know if there's power in this place, but I will be setting up some static cameras as well as some audio recorders and stuff to see if we can catch some of that. So some of the different claims from next week's location are shadow figures, voices, and again, it's not been investigated. So these are just claims from people who work there. One of the things that they say is that the place takes on a whole different feel after dark, and that it feels like people are watching you, that there are about 10 different people that are watching. So it's going to make for a interesting investigation there. But we will go back, look and see if we got anything, any other shadow figures or anything there. Feel free to go back, watch certain sections of the live, and see if you see anything on it. I would definitely appreciate that. Send me your timestamps. We will go live at 8 p.m. next week. Just a few housekeeping things for those of you that have stuck around through this episode. We do have some tours available this weekend. We have a guided ghost hunt tomorrow night, so we don't have. I think we have some flashlight tours on the schedule for tomorrow night, and also some rugby tours. So you can see all of that at historyhighwayshaunts.com. You can book those tours. We got a guided ghost hunt tomorrow night. We've also got the Pumpkin Festival. They're in Allard, is going to be this coming Saturday. We will actually be closed during the daytime hours at the museum. Our normal hours will be 11 to 4 on Saturday, but since the Pumpkin Festival is going on and they have thousands of people at this festival, we both need to be there to work it. So we will be closed during the day. And so come on out to Allard, Tennessee, see us, get a tour booked, and get an investigation book. Check out some of our merchandise. We've got some brand new shirts. We've also got lots of branded merchandise there regarding the jail, and also historic rugby after dark. And then we have both Christy and I have a tour afterwards, and then also an overnight investigation. And then on Sunday night we have we have a cemetery and North Village tour at the Village of Historic Rugby on Sunday night. And then we've got lots of tours open during the month of October. We probably will be opening more tours. If one of the tours sell out and we don't have an investigation scheduled for afterwards, we'll probably be doing double tours, one that will start at 7 and one that will start at 9. If there's no investigation booked afterwards. We don't have a lot of investigation dates open during the month of October. I think we have a couple Thursday nights and a couple Sunday nights still available if you're wanting to get a investigation at the jail or the Village of Historic Rugby in during the month of October. We do have limited dates available on that, but you can find all of that information under historyhighwayshaunts.com, and then you choose your adventure, whether you want to go to the jail or go to the Village of Historic Rugby. You can also look up Historic Scott County Jail on the Facebook page, as well as Historic Rugby After Dark on Facebook, and see a lot of our information that we have on there. I do also want to make sure to mention, because this is coming up really, really quick, GoblinCon. GoblinCon is coming up. It's the GoblinCon UFO and Paranormal Expo that's going to be taking place in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. It's going to be on October 16th, 17th, and 18th. I think 16th is really only for the VIP, but 17th and 18th are going to be let's see here. Here is sort of a calendar of events. Let me see if I can pull up the full thing. The schedule. So on Friday, October 17th, it's going to run from 12 p.m. Central Time to 7 p.m. This is the speaker schedule. I'm going to be speaking from 6:15 to 7 o'clock. I'm going to be part of the ghost hunting panel Q&A. I'm going to be surrounded by Sin Schrader Hill, as well as Chris isn't going to be able to make it, but I believe Buffy from Night Song, as well as Rachel from Sinister Sisters, are going to be part of that panel. And then on Saturday, October 18th, the event will run from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I'm going to be speaking, I believe, from 2 to 2:45. I'm going to be doing a Ghost Hunting 101 workshop. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But if you go to GoblinCon UFO and Paranormal Expo, you can find more information about all the stuff that's going on. There's going to be a costume cosplay contest. And all this is going to be taking place at the Bruce Convention Center in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and it's the site of the Kelly Green Men invasion that took place 50 years ago. So, or no, I'm sorry, it's the no, it wasn't 50 years ago. I believe it was I have to look. It's been a really long day. But like I said, I've got my workshop that's going to be at 5:15 on Saturday. And so if you go on, you can see all of the panels that they're going to have, as well as, so they've got a UFO panel, a cryptid panel, fact versus fake with paranormal evidence, with Night Song. Ken Gerard's going to be there. Just a lot of great people from the paranormal, UFO, and cryptid communities are going to be part of this. And so I'm honored to be part of that, and a little bit excited because I designed the logo for the event. And so we've got there's some great merchandise, and was just completely honored to have had the opportunity to design this really cool logo for this event. So thankful and grateful to be a part of it. All right. So guys, that wraps up the first episode of the Behind the Screams for season 8. It's going to be a great season. I'm so excited to have you guys along with me on the ride. Got some really cool locations planned. Going to be a couple fun nights. Just want to look here, make sure I've not missed any comments before we started reviewing the evidence. James asked about, I saw it up here. He was asking, where could one buy an APL device? I want to talk a little bit more about the APL on later episodes, because we're still testing it out. But if you like the EDI Plus, you will like the APL. Right now, I don't know if he's got these out for mass production just yet, but the engineer that designed it, I know that Haunted Discoveries have used those in some of their episodes. And I want to talk a little bit more about it and find out from him if he's going to put this out for public consumption. So I will definitely keep you posted on that, because I really like it. I've had it do a few interesting things, and but I want to show you guys the data, because you're able to go in. I had this running, and it actually does a really nice graph of spikes in the activity, and you're able to correlate that with events that happen during the live, and it's done in real time, which is really cool. Let's see. Looking at the comments over here. Let me scroll back. Yes, definitely going to be a good season. Bob, don't miss this next one. And we've got 4 more episodes to go, maybe with an extra live or 2 thrown in. We'll kind of see how all of that plays out. Hopefully this next time I'll be able to pull up your comments a little bit better. When I'm doing this on my cell phone, I only literally have a screen about this big that shows the comments, and it has the other buttons where I can pull stuff up, but it's hard for me to scroll. And so I wasn't able to pull very many comments up during the live. And I hate that, because I really enjoy doing it. Like I said, I'll either have a moderator that can help me pull those up from another location, or I will do better next show. Thank you, D Hoot. Definitely looking forward to this coming Tuesday, and seeing all of you all then. David says he's super excited for the next location. We will see you all on Tuesday. Thank you so much for tuning in with me for the last 2 hours and going over the evidence, and definitely sending me the timestamps. Bob says, seems like better stability and sound on YouTube than Facebook. Yeah, Facebook's kind of funky, and they don't allow lives to be longer than on the page for any longer than 30 days. So I'm really transitioning more over to YouTube over here. It does seem like the sound and stuff is a lot better. So if you're watching on Facebook and it seems a little wonky, head on over to YouTube, because that might be a better place. Who knows? I even broadcast on LinkedIn. LinkedIn might even be a little bit better. And thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Appreciate that, David. Again, hope you all have an amazing night, and we'll see you all next Tuesday at a new location for episode 2 of season 8. Take care, everyone, and good night.